coming up in the near future. The powers that be simply don't want to do anything about it. The homelessness in California is out of hand. 75% of the homeless in America are in California. 75%. And that in itself, we live near a freeway. It wasn't too far away. Well, in California, most people live in freeways. But freeway underpasses are now like hotels. All along the freeways, light rails, the roads, everywhere. It's all these little tents, little lean-to type things set up for people, and there just doesn't seem to be any change in the future. And it's nowhere you want to raise your children or your grandchildren. And that's what I want to do. And I don't want to end I retired 3 years ago, and I don't want to retire in a place that I just don't recognize. I can't call it home. You know, it's not America. California is quickly becoming a third world country. A little joke I have is next time you visit there, you have to take your passport. Okay, let me move on to Second Amendment. Who's in favor of the Second Amendment? A couple of you. Well, California, I'd say about 40 years ago, the Democrat Party labeled the Second Amendment public enemy number one. And every year, slowly, picking away at our Second Amendment rights. They do it they even ban guns. I've talked to gun dealers, gunsmiths, that say, why are these guns banned? They have no idea. No idea. How many people here know what a AR-15 is? How many people know what a Ruger Mini 14 is? Most people. That's good. California, they just go all out on the AR-15. And they ignore the Mini 14, which is fine with me, but why one over the other? Well, a lot of ranchers, big ranchers and farmers in California like to use the Mini 14 as varmint guns. The coyotes keep them off the ranch and the farms. So they push a little money towards the campaigns of these Democrats up in Sacramento. And they turn a blind eye towards the Mini 14. But you and I know it shoots the same bullet. You know? And it can do as much damage. Let's see, what else we have here? Every year, new regulations, always clamping down on something. Some years ago, they put regulations where you have to have what they call a bullet button on your AR. It's a thing you have to attach there, and you have to use the tip of a bullet, push it so you can drop the magazine out, put a new one in. Well, enterprising people learn how to get around that. And they added other things where it made it so you simply can't take the magazine at all. You have to pop it open, put rounds down through the top. They do stuff like that. And of all the things that go after it, I mean, I lived next door to a guy who worked for the California Department of Justice. One of his main jobs was to go around to all the dealers, gun dealers, the people with the FFLs, federal firearm licenses, and gunsmiths. He had to explain the new laws every year. He had to go around and make these rounds. That's no kidding. And even then, it was hard for them to understand the new laws. You just can't keep up with it. It was so, and it's not just that. It's some years ago, they were having trouble with budgets. And the sheriff's department had to take a big cut in sheriffs. They had like 10% layoff. Well, the sheriff, who was a good Republican at the time, said, this is going to make it too dangerous for our citizens. Our response time will just be too long. So he started issuing concealed carry permits. Figured that. So I went and got, and it has to be renewed every 2 years, so I did. That was about 10 years ago. So every 2 years I'd have to renew it, but every 2 years the state legislature would add something to it. And the last one that just broke it for me, you have to qualify with both hands. It wasn't just enough you could shoot well with one. You had to qualify with left and right hand. The police don't even have to do that, you know. But that's the nature of the Second Amendment in California. And the last one, which really gets me, we got guns and say, well, why do we leave the ammunition alone? Well, here it is, take that thing. To buy ammunition now, you have to give your fingerprint on the bill of sale, and you have to wait, I think it's 10 days for your ammunition. And that's just, when I left, that was it. I had enough, no more. I didn't even renew my concealed carry permit. And it's also, let's go to the judicial system. The district attorneys, and I don't know how much you know about California politics. It's far left. I mean, off the map far left, or rather, the district attorney was a fellow that's now the Los Angeles district attorney, the LA County. He was in San Francisco. He was voted out, chased out, went down south to LA and became LA's district attorney. And this guy is now, he's involved in social engineering. He's saying you can't fix these guys by just putting them in jail. So he figures he's not going to put them in jail. They don't enforce, some laws they don't enforce at all. Most they just relax the penalties. You could get caught with a stolen car. If they catch you, sign a paper, and they release you right there. And then they don't even follow you. They don't follow up on the convictions. Let it go. I mean, there's so much, I have to refer to this, of what's gone wrong there. And let's see, crime and drug abuse is just rampant. A fellow that went to I think it was a halfway house in San Francisco. He wanted help. He went there for help. And what they offered was a box. It was like a terror box, you know. And in that were needles. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, hash pipe. It's things to keep them out there on the street. And I mean, between you and I, this is insane, you know? I don't know, how do you deal with that? How can you deal with that? But anyway, that's the thinking out there. Drug abuse, crime, they let people out, they're letting people out of the prisons early, they're not finishing their sentences, and on top of that, they're closing prisons. They actually want to close more prisons and let people out, which means you'll have more felons out wandering around amongst the general population. And at the same time, they want to disarm you. What sense does that make? They're having trouble signing people up for police departments. Bonuses, they're giving people bonuses of $20,000 to sign for the police departments. It's pathetic. Employees, you know, one big problem. A big problem in California too is the public employee unions. Basically, they own California. There's a union there called the SEIU. They got a stranglehold on the assembly, on the state capitol. They can't do anything without them. They tax the money from the working people, and they give a lot of it to the Democrats up in the Capitol. And it's like a money laundering thing, you know. And it's not going to change, and it's very, very dangerous. They have these big rallies sometime on the Capitol grounds, which is a big park around the Capitol there. We were advised by one of the radio talk shows there, stay away from the Capitol unless you're one of them, because it's just flat out dangerous. Don't go there. You will get attacked, physically attacked. even in the job that I was a bus driver there in the Capitol for 21 years. Yeah, 21 years. I had to watch what I say in the driver's room. I was shouted down. If I have an opposing opinion, well, you better run, because you better get out, because they're going to be all over you. I had the president of the union one day complaining. There's too many George Bush bumper stickers out in the parking lot. And I had enough. I said, you know what, Dick? That's none of your damn business. Keep business right here. Just what I do and who I vote for, none of your business. Not even like that. He was, let's see. Schools. Schools are another thing that the SEIU has taken charge of. They have one of the highest per capita per student in the country, and yet have one of the lowest graduation rates. And they even got so far, they went so far into California as to, because it was too difficult for many kids, they eliminated the requirement for mathematics. It's just not there anymore. That most of them, most kids graduate with about a 7th grade education at best, reading level at best, most of them. I mean, my wife and I insist on having our grandchildren in private school. We'll go out of our way. We'll move to Tennessee, but we can afford to put them in private schools, where they do the Pledge of Allegiance, thank God. And yeah. And you can tell that if you walk onto a public school grounds and walk onto a private school grounds, the difference is stunning. The private school grounds, you will not hear any profanity. You won't, kids are polite. Sir, may I help you? You know, this, the other ones, good luck. And like I say, I took a bus in Sacramento for 21 years. We would quite often have routes. I picked up a lot of middle school kids and high school kids. And I tell you, what an adventure. I see just about everything on those trips. They're rude, profane, violent. I've seen fights all over the place, on the bus, not just boys, girls fighting each other. Vicious fight. And nothing happened to me. Nothing. My own daughter was attacked one day by some girl who was upset because she was talking to her boyfriend or something. But she got attacked, and somebody came up behind her and started wailing on her back of her head. But since they had this thing where there's nobody at fault, they're both at fault, they both get suspended. And all my daughter did was defend herself. That's a big thing out there. I don't know it. I haven't been here long enough to know Tennessee all that well, but I can tell you, God bless Tennessee. Still, yeah. We have independence thing. Well, California's a big welfare state. You can bring your kids to California, go right to the welfare office, apply for AFDC, and you got, find a housing for you. You don't need a job to come there. Just take your kids there, we'll take care of them. Businesses are bailing on California big time. Since 2018, I think 350 businesses have left. And many of these are big businesses. Tesla moved its battery operation out of California into Nevada, because Nevada will take the business. Oracle moves out. I think they went to Texas. Tesla also moved its headquarters to Austin. Not the best place in Texas, but it's still Texas. And Charles Schwab moved their headquarters out of San Francisco. Gone. These are big businesses. A lot of money, a lot of revenue. Which reminds me of revenue. Powers to be in Stockton, California. You've heard of Stockton, California. It used to be a nice little town. Just down the road from Sacramento. Back, I'd say 25 years ago, they realized that it was just too expensive to maintain welfare of people in the Bay Area because the prices of homes are. So they got a big idea. They started shipping them to the Central Valley. I don't know if you're familiar with California. There's the coast and then there's the big valley. Where the housing was cheaper, cost of living was cheaper. Also with that came a lot of crime. Stockton, California became known as Tombstone. Tombstone. It was like the murder capital of California for a long time. A nice, sweet little town, working class town. Working class town. This is it. I could go on more and more about these things, but I think I'd bore you. But one thing I'd like to say, don't let this happen to Tennessee. I love this place. And I've only been here 7 months, and I don't know that much about it. And
I just wanted to say, I moved back to California. I went out there to work at the Allegheny nuclear plant, had a $600,000 house. Nobody bothered to tell me, you don't ever want to buy a house next to the park, because when you wake up early in the morning and want to walk your dog, all the addicts are sleeping in the park.
exactly.
And you go
Exactly.
for a walk in
Yeah.
San Luis Obispo with your other nuclear professionals to the finest restaurants in Mission,
Right.
with Maseratis driving by, and you walk down this little path by the river and you're stepping over addicts. You're stepping over addicts who were dying right in front of you.
And
And people don't even care. They don't even care. And I want to say, Tennessee, we need to wake up. Because right now, if you go running 3 hours in the morning, like some of my friends do, and I do, and you run past the park over there by the there are now addicts.
I don't think people
In
don't
Oak
care.
Ridge.
I don't think people don't care. They care.
This is happening in Oak Ridge. I've got addicts living next to me in a small, I came back to Oak Ridge. I left my little neighborhood, which was a perfect little neighborhood. Ed Westcott, who Kroger's is named after, lived at the end of my street. Alvin Weinberg, who lived up the trail from my house, who worked with Admiral Rickover to develop the freaking Nautilus, which is the basis of our naval nuclear fleet. Lived up the trail from my house. We've got 4 rental houses now with addicts living in them. Wake up.
And amen to that. And I don't want it to happen here. I call it Californicating Tennessee. I don't want it to happen.
It's due to liberal leadership in Oak Ridge.
With the junkies too, you also have the needles. All the needles. The kids can't play in the parks. They can't play in the playgrounds because there's needles all over the place. And I don't think people don't care. I just think people don't have anybody to turn to anymore.
Well,
I mean, you're in a one-party state where you've got no say.
we've got to stand up.
You don't, yeah. You know, in California, it's a winner take all. So when it comes to the presidential elections, if you're a Republican, you just as well stayed home that day because you don't have a say. But thank you for saying that, and I agree. That's what I want to finish on. Let's not let that get away. And indifference is the worst thing we can do. We have to get on this thing. Our city councils need to get on it. And don't take no for an answer.
They're all liberal. They're all liberal.
Well, like I said, my wife is here to rein me in. I'm all for being belligerent. You know? Yeah. I mean, if they don't listen to common sense, then you're gonna listen to me one way or the other. That's what I'm for. Am I going too far going in? A little over the top. All right.
That was very, very good. Thank you so much, Reverend White. I want to turn our meeting over to our chair, if she's ready. I want to turn our meeting over to Thanks for making it back safe.
Let's see, could I have the executive committee come up front? We have some things to work on, and thank you so much, that was great. That was actually Regina's idea, to have somebody from another state come in, and Mrs. Regina, raise her hand, she's our trustee, county trustee, and she said, we need to have somebody come in, and then, Mr. Tarhad met him, and directed him to us, so that was good. Okay, wanted to make sure we have a quorum. Okay, so I did allow space on the agenda for a legislative update because the lieutenant governor was going to be here, but his assistant texted today and let me know that he couldn't. And so we'll move on to the reading of the minutes. Do we have any minutes? Our secretary's not here tonight, Mayor Frank, so we do not have the minutes.
I'm the secretary tonight.
So, okay, so our chair emeritus is gonna take notes. But we will postpone the minutes from November until next meeting. So then I'll ask our treasurer, Keith Copeland, if you would give a financial report.
Excuse me for interrupting. A lot of people did not sign in. We're gonna pass this around, so, sorry to disrupt you, but, you guys sign in. We'll pass this on.
My husband's not here, he would have us. What did I draw?
Okay, as far as our treasury report goes, we didn't have a meeting in December, so one week November and December. Previous balance as of November the 1st, $22,716.11. Had no deposits, no disbursements, and we had an outstanding check that was written, but it was not cleared, for $225, to John Ray. And then, our previous balance, $22,716.11. So the ending bank balance for November, $22,716.11. Ending bank balance as of November the 31st. As of December 1st, same things, $22,716.11, no deposits, no disbursements, and the check cleared, $225 that we had written, for the donation to John Ray. We had no outstanding checks. Our previous balance was $22,716.11. Total debits $225. Leaves us with an ending balance of $20,491.11.
thing, did anybody make a motion to accept the treasurer reports and actually supposed to be submitted for audit? Okay, this, a motion to submit for audit. All in favor, say aye. Okay, so under old business, every 2 years, the local party is to submit new bylaws to the state. And you can use the ones you had, or you can make changes and submit those changes, or they will default you back to a template that they have for counties. So we had at least one special call meeting that we worked on our bylaws, and we used the template and what we already had and kind of meshed them, and so we submitted that September 30th, 2021, and we never heard back. So we followed up on it in the fall, and well, and besides that, but we still didn't hear anything. But I went to Nashville and I saw the state chair, Scott Golden, and he told me they were passed, except for one thing they want us to change in it. So we will, now it's time to do those again. So we will change, we may change some other things too this year. There's been some conversation about changing some other things that have to do with candidates and such. So we will be making that change and then submitting them again. But my point for saying all that is that you're not allowed to use the bylaws that you've submitted until you know they're approved. So all of last year, we went on the prior bylaws. This, now that we know that they're approved, as of December, we are using them tonight. And I just need to let you know that they were approved. But that was under old business. Also under old business is a financial review committee, which has been sort of got held up all of last year while we were waiting on an accountant who was supposed to do that for us, and then he found after months and months that he didn't have time. And so I talked to him, and also Keith talked to him, and basically he just wanted release from the obligation to do it. And so in the bylaws, it says that the first of every year we are supposed to appoint 2 people to be on a financial review committee. So now it's time, we want to go back and get the one that the accountant was supposed to do, but also get the 2 recent ones, which are not anywhere as complicated as that 2020 one was because of President Trump. But so I wanted to submit for appointment to this financial review committee. David Bellis, where are you? You want to stand up a minute? And the other person, I don't know if any of you know him, but he's come to several of our meetings, and I've talked to him before at the fair booth and different times, so I felt that I trust him. And also, sit back down, the second person I've talked to who's committed to this is Tammy Cagle. She goes to this church. She's actually on the worship team, and those women, their voices are beautiful. But she also works for Regina in the trustee's office. And so I felt that I talked to Regina ahead of time, and she said she felt like she had the skills for something like this. So Tammy's agreed to do that also. So those are the 2 names that I want to submit. And I would like to also just, if it's okay, reserve the right to maybe add 1 or 2 more people to that without having to come in and get approval, just because that first year, that 2020 year, is going to be a lot of work. And if we have a couple more people, it should go faster. So I wanted to submit that to the executive committee.
Make a motion for that. I move that we accept the 2 appointments for our financial review committee. David, what's your last name again?
Dallas.
Dallas?
DLLISD with a board, as a board.
Okay, David Dallas and Tammy Cagle? Cagle? Okay. To be on our financial review committee. I make that motion.
With, two,
with the idea that later on we'll have two more and would be appointed by the, chairman.
Is there a second? That's, on the table is a motion to accept the appointment of these two, David Ellis and Tammy Pagel, and possibly a few more, and the second, so now discussion.
Just a question, do the bylaws say that we're all supposed to nominate someone and give it to you to make that decision?
No. It's just,
I don't even think we have to vote on it,
I think you just nominated them.
I think she's appointed.
it was that way on the prior bylaws. It's all these different bylaws is confusing. I think the new bylaws is a little bit more vague. So, anyway, is there any other discussion?
If we don't need a motion, I can just call the motion.
I think you appoint them.
Yeah, I think you're appointed.
Okay, so, well then, the motion is withdrawn and the chair has freedom to appoint. Okay? So now under new business is the reorganization. For those of you who don't know, every 2 years, every county party like this has to reorganize, and reorganize means they can nominate new executive committee members and new chair, and there are a lot of rules, and I've got 4 or 5 pages in the email from the state about that, but what we need to take up tonight, a couple of things regarding that. One would be, when do we want to do that? Today is January 19th, and we have to have at least 31 days between today and the date, because there's a 30-day window we have to notify the state, and so even if we notify them tomorrow, that would be February 20th, something like, approximately. So, the last couple times we had, the reorganization was in April. Prior to that, I think we had one in February. I do not remember. But, okay, so usually we have it in April. It would be nice to have some time between now and the date that you all would want to decide, because of the different work, the logistics in this. We have to appoint a 5-person contest and credentials committee who will oversee that reorganization. So we need time really to be able to roll all of that out.
I got a question, Madam Chair. When's the late date for the, reorganization?
I believe it's April 15th.
April 15th?